The guest of our show today is Miss Universe Australia, Daria Varlamova.
With my Masters, I'm pursuing what I'm really passionate about, and that is mental health.
Persistence and dedication.
Yeah, it's not actually your birth certificate that makes you Australian, it's actually your values. It didn't define me, and I knew that I will be okay.
Daria Varlamova, Australia!
The world feels like your oyster.
Hi, I'm Elena Reddy and welcome to Foreign Influence. The guest of our show today is Miss Universe Australia, Daria Varlamova. Daria, thank you so much for being a part of our show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Elena. I'm really happy to be here in this beautiful location. Look at it's so gorgeous. I mean, how much better can you get? So thank you for having me.
Well, we especially planned the location University House at the University of Melbourne because we know how much education means to you.
Yeah, education, I think it's a wonderful thing. You know, I was a student advisor for quite some time for university students. I think it's really, really empowering for young people to explore those sort of avenues. So it's a great privilege to be here at Melbourne University today.
Where were you born and what do you remember about your childhood?
I was born in Bryansk. I would say it's a small town by my standards now living in Australia, but it's actually a small city. So it's got about 1 million people and it's an old war town. It's sort of close to the border of Ukraine, southwest of Moscow. And yeah, I had the best childhood ever. We had a little farmhouse. I'd spent the summers there and it was just...
dacha.
It's a dacha, yeah. So you guys know, it was just the best way to grow up and yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world.
How did you come to Australia and at what age?
I was 7 when I came here for a holiday just to see what it's like, and I permanently moved over to Perth, Western Australia with my family when I was 8 years old. So I've been here close to 20 years now.
What were your parents' professions?
My mum is a dentist and my dad is a plastic surgeon, so I did not follow that path at all. I was always a lot more creative, so I followed that path. I'm not a very scientific sort of person, so that was a lot more suitable for me.
What did you enjoy the most in your childhood?
What did I
Were you
enjoy
a naughty kid or were you a sporty kid? Were you a nerd?
I like to think I was a little angel, so my grandma thinks that. My mum probably doesn't. I feel like grandparents are usually a lot more lenient on their grandchildren, and the parents, you know, they have the more strict role of bringing the children up. But I was pretty well behaved. I was always into drawing. I was very creative. I was always playing by myself. I had a really, really vivid imagination. I could always create my own fun. We didn't have a lot of resources growing up and access to things such as the latest toys. So I would just make my own fun. I would play with pots and pans, you know, I would build cubby houses. I think creativity really worked in my favour.
How did you move to Melbourne?
Yeah, so I've been in Melbourne for about 5 years now, and while I love Perth, it's a beautiful place to grow up and retire and build a family. The industries are more orientated around mining. So I figured if I was to pursue the more creative side of things, then I needed to be on the East Coast. And Melbourne is sort of the cultural hub of Australia, I believe. There's so much in terms of the arts and theatre performances and acting And I'm the sort of person that wants to explore it all, especially in my youth, in my 20s. So I decided to just go for it, make the move by myself, and never look back.
Very brave to leave your family behind, and I imagine you don't have a lot of extended family here, and still at the age of 20, you're still very young, and to move to another side of the continent.
Yeah, it really was, and I was 22 at the time. I think I didn't realise how young that was, to leave your family behind. I had to do it twice in my life. Leave my extended family behind in Russia when I moved to Australia, and then leave my mum and brother there in Perth when I moved to Melbourne. So it was really hard, but I knew it had to be done. And the good thing about this day and age is the resources and all the technology, things such as FaceTime being available to us. I think that's really been a bit of a lifesaver. So yeah, can still keep in touch while pursuing my career and that side of things.
Tell me about your education.
Got my Bachelor of Commerce. I completed that in Western Australia, and at the moment I'm working on my Masters of Psychotherapy. So
Commerce and psychotherapy. What a great combination.
Yeah, so it's quite different. As you may know, in Russian culture, and I know in a lot of Slavic and Eastern European cultures, it's very common to kind of guide your children into certain professions, mainly law, engineering, accounting, medicine, things like that. So I actually started out doing law at university. I quickly realised I was not passionate about it whatsoever, and it is the sort of thing that you need to really love, because there's a lot of reading involved and it's a huge commitment. So I do strongly believe that a lot of young people should be given more leeway and more room to explore these options straight out of high school. For me, commerce was a bit of a generic degree that I could do. I still really wanted to study. I loved my university experience, and it did teach me a lot of skills, but if I could maybe do it over, I would have taken the time to explore that a bit more, maybe do an arts or a psychology degree. So now I think with my Masters I'm pursuing what I'm really passionate about, and that is mental health.
You told me in the past that you're involved in voluntary work.
I like to lead workshops for young girls aged 8 to 12, all about gratitude, self-love, friendships, and of course mental health. So that is extremely important to me. I think we really need to nurture and foster the minds of the next generation, because they're the future. And also for a number of years I worked with people with disabilities, and that was incredibly rewarding and I think a life-changing experience, because it showed me people that may not have full mobility that go on to do incredible things in their life, and I think there's nothing more inspirational than that. And in fact, I'm going to continue on this year, and I'm working on a few projects in that space, so I can't wait for everyone to see what that is.
Daria, how did you enter your first pageant?
For me, it was a little bit different. I didn't get into modelling or pageantry until I was 19. I was asked to do my very first modelling shoot. Up until that point, I never really considered myself to be a model. Back in the day, you know, especially 10 years ago, there were things like height requirements and there were a lot of restrictions to entering that industry. I was actually asked by a friend who was launching her own little modelling agency to do a shoot. And after I did that shoot, I realised how much I enjoyed it. And I saw that Miss Universe Australia was casting. So I went to the city in Perth and I had to do a little runway walk in front of everyone in the CBD, and it was really nerve-wracking. I actually didn't get through to the state round. I remember being a little bit discouraged. I really compartmentalised that experience and thought, you know what, it was fun, but I just don't think this is for me. I don't think I'm the right look, the right fit. That could never be me. Especially, I look at the past winners of Miss Universe Australia, you know, and what I thought Miss Universe Australia winner looked like, what I thought she spoke like. I thought that could never be me. I'm just some girl who immigrated from Russia. Who am I to represent Australia, essentially? And then I moved to Melbourne, several years passed, and it wasn't until probably 5 years later that I thought, okay, I'll enter Miss World Australia. I ended up becoming a national finalist. I went to Queensland. I had the most amazing time. You know, the girls are wonderful. It's definitely a character building experience, but I'm so thankful that I did that. The following year, I decided to give Miss Universe Australia another shot. So I thought, why not? While I'm still in the age bracket, because you can't enter over the age of 28, I thought, let's just go for it. I got nothing to lose. I'm a lot more confident than I was when I was 19. So I sent in a tape. I remember I was in Bali with my mum, my grandma, my brother. And I sent in my audition tape, you know, telling the universe a little bit about myself and what I did for work, what my passions were, sent it off. And then I was told that I moved forward to the next round. And then the next round I became a national finalist, which I was really excited about. I ended up placing in the top 5 in the country.
Incredible.
This was in 2020, so I was really excited about that. And that was difficult because that was a digital final, you know, it was the pandemic, we're in lockdown, so we did that virtually online. And then the following year, I decided to give it another crack, and I really went for it.
Persistence and dedication.
Yeah, persistence and dedication, that's right. I worked my little butt off, and then I somehow won the title of Miss Universe Australia 2021.
Congratulations.
So, thank you so much. And I think it was a really emotional moment for me. I remember that little girl that I was, and then the teenage girl who had these hopes and aspirations and thought that could never be me. So when I was crowned Miss Universe Australia, it was an amalgamation of all these different emotions, but mainly pride, I think, you know, for my grandma, for the immigrant community of Australia. I think Australia is a melting cultural pot, and I hope that by me being crowned the winner, I could show Australia that it's not actually a birth certificate that makes you Australian, it's actually your values, you know, acceptance and kindness, things like that. So really, really happy to represent the country.
I am so proud of you. This is terrific, and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's very exciting.
What was the experience like winning Miss Universe? Were you very nervous? Did you have a lot of butterflies in your tummy?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I still remember so vividly sitting in my living room with my partner, and he helped me so much. He was the one. So basically how it worked is we had different hubs all over the country because we still couldn't all meet together because of the lockdowns. So unfortunately all the Victorian girls were still in complete isolation and lockdown. So we had to live stream it from our home. So all I had is this sash and my partner. So all the girls got a sash in case they won. If I was to win, I knew my partner would be the one sashing me. So when they got to the top 5 and I made it through, I think that's when it kind of hit. Before that, I was just enjoying myself with the mentality, whatever happens, happens. It will be great to win, of course, but it didn't define me, and I knew that I will be okay. I would have other things going on if I didn't. It wouldn't be the end of the world. So when they announced top 5, you know, it got really real. My heart started pounding, and then usually if you had a live final on stage, they would ask you the top 5 question, and that would help you determine the winner. But we already had our digital interview, so it was all pre-filmed. So I knew I was happy with my answer, but all the girls were so amazing. I don't know how they could choose. So in that final moment when it was just down to me and Mia, my amazing runner-up, you know, it's the nerves, the butterflies, it was all happening for me. And then I think when you watch back the footage of me winning and they said Daria Varlamova is the winner of Miss Universe Australia, I clapped my hands on my mouth because I just couldn't believe it. And to be honest, I think I went into shock for months later, and it's only just sinking in. I'm still finding my feet and settling into the role, but I think it will never quite hit, if I'm honest. I feel like the same kind of awkward, dorky girl that I was before, and I like to think that that's a good thing, because a lot of girls, I hope, will look at me like an everyday girl, the everyday girl that I am, and realise that, yeah, it's all possible.
I imagine that once the announcement reached the whole world and the rest of Australia, You must have gotten a lot of media requests. How did you manage all of that?
It was completely overwhelming, if I'm honest, because I think coming out of lockdown, the longest lockdown in the world in Melbourne, to go from 0 to 100 and to be a little bit confused why these people would want to interview me, because I still felt like the same girl that I was the day before, and suddenly I was in a morning show the very next day. So it was a lot.
What was that like? Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so the first time I was in a morning show was the morning after winning.
How do you get invitations like that?
The Miss Universe Australia organisation, they organise that. They broadcast it every year with the winner. Right after I won, I had a Zoom call from my team, the Miss Universe Australia organisation. They had set up the morning show the very next day, so I was freaking out a little bit. I had 2 hours of sleep. I didn't sleep a wink, as you can imagine. We were still locked down for a couple more days, so I had to do it digitally from my home. But what else is new? I was so used to it by that point. Then a Herald Sun shoot straight after. The second time I was on a morning show, it was to showcase my beautiful national costume, which was designed by Jonte Designs and Atelier 8. They are Western Australian designers.
I love the colours.
Wasn't it gorgeous?
It looked absolutely beautiful on you.
Yeah, thank you so much. They did an amazing job, and it was representative of the landscapes of the Northern Territory. You know, the crystals, the incredible waterfalls, the flora, the fauna. I was in a morning show to showcase that costume, and it was my first time actually on live TV. So I remember being so nervous, just trying to do my little breathing exercises. I was so anxious. And I remember when they started counting down, 10, 9, 8, and I knew we were about to be live very soon. My legs were just shaking so much, and I thought to myself, thank goodness I have this really long skirt and no one will be able to tell. So I think it was all a learning curve for me. In terms of management, it takes a team, it really does. I'm very lucky to have incredible people around me making this happen, because I'm only one person and my skill set with the management side of things is somewhat limited, so I leave that to people that excel in those areas. I'm so thankful to everyone on my team, from the stylist to the makeup artist to yourself and my manager. You guys are the ones who make this all happen for me, so thank you.
What was the experience like traveling to Israel to compete globally in Miss Universe?
Traveling to Israel was one thing, especially after the lockdown. We're in the middle of a pandemic, we haven't traveled in a couple of years. Suddenly I'm going to a destination that I haven't been before. But not only that, but I was going to compete in Miss Universe and represent my country. And I'm still pinching myself, did that really happen?
Were there interesting activities that were planned for you? What did you have to select outfits, or did they provide them for you?
So here's the thing. The other girls at Miss Universe, a lot of them have trained for years for this. I had 5 weeks to prepare. I didn't expect to win. I had to get some outfits together. I was running around town trying to borrow, trying to make it happen, trying to get all these stylists on board. It was pretty crazy. And on top of that, practicing my walk. I've actually never been on a national Miss Universe stage, and then I was about to step on the international stage at Miss Universe without any walk experience whatsoever. It was all a lot, but I just thought I need to remain calm, level-headed, because I can make this work. I feel like the pandemic and the lockdowns in Melbourne has made us so adaptable. And in terms of activities, I remember we were sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night. We had early starts, and then late nights we had to get up, get ready, have breakfast, and then be off to activities such as tours and photo shoots and public appearances and
you have
media.
to look fresh.
You had to look fresh. So I thought, how ironic that I'm at the world's most important beauty contest, and yet we're walking around like zombies, haven't slept a wink.
Daria Varlamova,
Daria is a 27-year-old and currently working towards her master's in psychotherapy. This postgraduate student and trained dancer is simultaneously working as a career advisor for a number of leading universities. Australia.
When you watch the final, for a lot of us girls, we hadn't slept in 30 hours or something like that.
Wow.
So, and we had to look fresh and put together and answer questions live on stage. So it was very, very daunting, but it's all part of the experience, I think.
Absolutely.
And the girls, the friendships that you make.
What is it like with the girls?
Yeah.
Are they competitive? Are they friendly? Or do you get a mixture?
All of the girls are so lovely. We're actually amazing friends. We support each other on social media. I was very surprised by how easygoing everyone was, despite it being a very highly competitive environment and everyone wanting this one thing. Somehow the girls were so supportive. The thing I found most surprising is despite what I perceived to be incredible cultural barriers, we actually didn't have much of that. There were a few instances where the girls went above and beyond for each other. I remember right before my interview, they would help me glue my eyelashes back on because they were coming off, or we'd pop into each other's rooms to borrow clothes, things like that. So it was really, really lovely.
How do you prepare for a beauty pageant of this magnitude? Do you have to change your diet? Do you have to take some fitness classes to learn a catwalk in a particular way? Do you get stylists to coordinate your outfits? What happens? Yeah,
so there's a lot that usually goes into it. And whenever I dreamed about representing Australia at Miss Universe, I definitely thought that it would go a lot differently. I thought I'd be hitting the gym every day, eating super clean. Unfortunately, didn't have those resources because of the lockdowns, but I made it happen. You work with what you have. And I just made sure to listen to my body, to look after myself, make sure I'm getting plenty of sleep. I practiced question and answer with my family and friends. I even watched videos on how to do your makeup, and that's something I recommend as well, just really taking advantage of the incredible resources we have online.
As a title holder, Miss Universe Australia, do you have any responsibilities that you have to fulfill?
So because I'm Miss Universe Australia, I'm affiliated with a lot of our sponsors. They're the ones who made this all happen because the final was virtual. So they made up the selection panel and they chose me as the winner. I'm honouring that by helping them create content, posting it across my social media channels, doing photo shoots for them, and they're really, really amazing brands and products. So I'm very, very happy to be affiliated with them. So that's probably, I'd say, my main duty. Other than that, there's a lot of charitable aspects that go into the role, and I'm working on quite a few ambassadorships at the moment as well. So it definitely keeps me very busy.
Yeah, sounds like you're very busy.
Yeah, I'm still finding my feet and I'm still relatively new to the role, but it's all starting to piece together now, and I'm starting to really find a flow with the role as well.
After the beauty pageants, what happens then, and what does the future hold for you, do you think?
Yeah, so Miss Universe Australia, it's not the be-all and end-all. What it is an incredible launch pad for whatever it is you want to do in the future. The organisation, they have this catchphrase, it's a party, not a pageant, and I think it's true. It's just a chance to meet incredible, driven, ambitious, smart women around the country. It gives the winner, or anyone participating really, an incredible platform to affiliate themselves with incredible Australian brands and companies, but also to do charitable work. We've got Toy Box Australia, which is a charity that helps sick and disadvantaged children and their families, which I think is quite beautiful.
Absolutely.
And really we could do anything we want to, whether it is pursuing a business, whether it's pursuing a role on television or as a speaker or presenter. It's all available really, so the world sort of feels like your oyster, and it's a great, great launch pad for any projects that you want to work on.
Thank you so much for your time, Daria.
Thank you so much,
It's been a great pleasure to have you on our show.
It's my pleasure.
And we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you.